James Dominguez. The Punchline. Boxing's most interesting talk show. Puts you in the ring.
Hey, you're here listening to The Punchline with Kelly Pavlik and James Dominguez. And today we have some really good guests on the show. We have Shannon Torres.
Shannon Torres Gilman, one of my favorite people.
Yes. And Joe Pastore.
Joe Pastore.
So, it's going to be very interesting to listen to what they got going on. Shannon's doing a lot right now in the sport of boxing. She's the VP of the WBC Cares, and, it's going to be interesting to see what she's doing, what got her into that, and it's for a really good cause. I mean, a great cause, what she's doing. And, of course, with Joe, with Kermit Citron and some of the up-and-coming stud amateurs that he's got going right now. Interesting to see what they got to say today.
Well, it's interesting to see what a young trainer that actually has his stuff together, knows what he's talking about, that's not involved for money or ego. Yeah, which I really enjoy.
And I'm friends with Joe on Facebook, and we talk. Not a lot, but we get into touch. We touch base on things in the boxing world, and some of the things that he mentions is the same exact ideas and points that I have in boxing. So, today we'll be able to touch in and see how his guys are doing and how their camps are going and fights.
Well, I'm excited to get started on it. I mean, I've been looking at the show all week. I even got here sick to do it. So
yeah, you did. But your voice got good just at the right time. So
yeah. All right. Well, it's great seeing you as always, Kelly. Let's get started.
All right.
Hello.
How you doing, Joe?
What's up, James?
Hey, Joe, what's going on, buddy?
Hi, Kelly. How are you? Nice to talk to you both.
I'm doing good, man. So what you got going on?
Plan?
Our plan is to talk to you, bud.
Okay. Not much. I'm just taking the Sunday to spend some time with my fiance. We're going to go out to dinner later. I had the Golden Gloves yesterday, so
all right.
Had a late night there, and that was it.
So how's everything going? How's training going?
Everything's going really good. Xavier and David are progressing by leaps and bounds. I got David some work with Joey DeVaco recently, and it wasn't even competitive.
I've been watching some of the videos on him. Amazing kid.
Yeah. I'm getting him work with Travis Kaufman in the near future. I'm anxious to see how that goes, and given that David's only 16 and Travis is a 30-year-old professional with over 30 fights.
Yeah,
so, Joe, that was what I was going to ask you. I mean, are you finding it hard to find sparring partners for him?
Yeah, well, both of them. I can't box him with other kids, and Kelly, I'm sure you've gone through the same thing. I know that you sparred. You actually fought Jermaine Taylor when he was significantly older than you. You were like a kid fighting a grown man.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point, if you're really talented, that's what you need to do, because if you're in the ring with another person your age and experience, they're just running right through them, these kids.
But at the same time, it's still a hard situation because you're still sparring. Yeah, you're still sparring a adult, which is a big difference. Man maturity versus a kid. Yeah. And so you're still looking out for the dangers of that too, though.
Yeah, I'm. You know what? I haven't overextended myself with people that I'm involved with as a trainer, so I'm very aware of their strengths and weaknesses, and I'm good at calculating who's good to put them with and who might be a little too much. And I take chances once in a while, because at the same time, I need them to know that there's constantly another step that has to be taken. There's always another level that you're trying to get to, because I don't want them to get complacent.
Truly agree with that. I agree with your statement 100%. I mean, at a certain point, these fighters need tested. Even your guys, they need to know that they're making progress, and you're not going to make progress if they're bullshitting fighting guys not close to their level, And me and you both, we talk about it offline. There's a lot of so-called trainers out there that run their mouth online, talk about their fighters being the best.
Right.
And they beat this guy and beat that guy, and then they get the opportunity to spar, and they're nowhere to be found.
Well, in my experience, and what I've found is that trainers, they want to find somebody that their kid can beat up on. Their ego is as much involved as in what's going on as the fighters is, and I don't believe in that. I don't think you learn going around beating up inferior opponents, inferior sparring partners. I think that you have to challenge your guys, like I said earlier, to let them know that no matter how good they are, there's always another step to take, always another level to try and aspire to. And I see trainers that, they'll put their kid in with somebody less experienced, somebody smaller, that they have all the physical advantages over somebody younger, or whatever the case may be. And to me, what you're doing is you're creating a bully who's going to fall apart the moment somebody challenges him.
Yeah, well, not only that, but they're also feeding their ego too. As a trainer. I mean, I've realized that firsthand with certain people, and it's all about, hey, look what my guy is doing. As we're saying is, at least in my opinion, if your fighter is really good, which a lot of them are, and you spar 3 times, 4 times a week, that's a lot. Anything could happen in that week. Yeah. And sometimes your star fighter will get his butt handed to him, but like when I worked with a couple of kids, that would happen. And like I would tell them, I say, you know what, this is where you want to take the ass kickings. You want to take them inside this gym. You don't want to take them in fight night,
Exactly.
Or an amateur's tournament, if you're going to lose a fight, which is nobody ever wants to lose, but you're better off taking them in a club show, because when you start getting to the silver gloves, the golden gloves, U.S. championships, whatnot, you don't want to lose in those tournaments. That's where you want to go.
Absolutely. I often get asked, because I started out in the boxing industry with Kermit, and people ask, he didn't start boxing until he was 19, and how did we succeed to the level that we did? And
because he punches like a fucking animal, that's why.
Yeah, well, I believed in taking chances in the gym, so that when I accepted a fight, I knew Kermit was over prepared for the level of competition he was going to face. Kermit was in camp with Arturo Gatti when Arturo was getting ready to fight Oscar De La Hoya. Kermit had like 3 professional fights at the time. Yeah. He was in camp with Andrew Sixhead Lewis. He was in camp with Kasim Uma, while Kermit had a very limited pros career, and he had an even more limited amateur career. He only had 26 amateur fights. But he was a great athlete. He had good training, and he had tremendous work ethic. And when you combine all those things together, his learning curve was incredible. So he was constantly being pressed and challenged in the gym, where if he had a misstep, if he faltered, if he made a mistake, if things didn't go the way we wanted him to, it didn't matter, because it's in the gym, which is where I think you're supposed to take chances and risks, because it doesn't affect your career, and you can make adjustments based off what happens in the gym. Exactly. So that's how I did it with Kermit, and that's how I'm doing it with David and Xavier.
That's awesome. For those who don't know, and people are listening, they're listening to the show right now, and haven't and don't know, this is David Pastore. He's the trainer of Kermit Cintron, national champion Xavier Ramirez, right? Xavier Ramirez.
Xavier Ramirez.
And
Xavier is an N on the end.
Okay, Xavier.
Yeah.
And what's his record right now?
Now it's 91 or 92 and 9.
That's a ridiculously good record. What I've noticed about the kid is just he has, for an amateur, and he's not really developed yet, his one-punch knockout power. It's crazy. He's knocking out grown men that are pros.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's, he was, when I first started with him, when he was just turned 13, when you looked at him physically, there was nothing to him. I was really concerned about how he was going to develop, but at that time he was already 36-4.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, well, he's 36-4. And when we were at fights and you put him next to other kids the same age, they were always more physically developed. You could see the musculature was different. The physical maturity was different. And I thought he's beating them anyway. So
that sounds like
he's beating them on skill. He's beating them on ring IQ. So what's going to happen if physically he starts to catch up with if his physical attributes start to catch up with his ring intelligence and his boxing skill. And that's what's happening. And since that hasn't been happening, now instead of outboxing guys, if you watch his videos, he's constantly walking you down. He's constantly putting pressure on you, whether it's physical or mental. And he's really hurting guys when he's sparring. You know, we don't box with a headgear, and my guys come out without a mark in their face, and the other guys come out, you know, banged up noses, banged up eyes, banged up mouth, bleeding. You know, so
well, I think a lot of time,
definitely something to be said for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of time the headgear obscures your vision, hurts you more than it helps in some cases.
I just my take on that is it gives people a false sense of security and that they can take punches better. And I get a lot of shit for not having them wear headgear. Now I do if it's a southpaw and an orthodox fighter, I'll put the headgear on. But
keep
otherwise,
the heads at each other.
Yeah, I don't want them thinking, oh, I got a headgear on, I don't have to worry about defense. I can just take punches. I think that's a bad mindset, and it's something we've been working on avoiding. And they get mad if we have to wear headgear, and you know, we routinely haven't been doing it for 3 years. Yeah. I get a lot of shit from other coaches.
I felt the same way. Pissed. Yeah, I felt the same way with the nose protector. You know, most of my career, I didn't use it because you got to remember that's coming out maybe an extra inch and a half or an inch from your nose, and that's a big difference in boxing. You know that
it increases leverage on the punch too. If it lands, it increases leverage on the shot.
And me as a fighter, you know, sometimes you don't care that much about blocking a jab. You know, it's like, I got this on. But towards the end of my career, unfortunately, I had some snout problems. So, you know, bleed, things like that. So you kind of have to a little bit at that point.
Sure.
But no,
if you have to compensate for an injury, I'm absolutely fine with that. You know, I don't think I think you'd be a fool not to, if you're having nose problems or anything to that nature. Well, that's why I do it with
I think that last week or two of camp is a good time to put headgear on too, because you know you're winding down and you don't want that injury.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no accident to happen. But I think with Xavier and David, by the time they're really moving into pro career, I'll probably use headgear more because I will have built a good foundation of head movement and being responsible defensively through their amateur career and early pro career. So
and you don't want to piss the promoter off if you have to cancel the fight.
You can't afford those mistakes at that level.
Try explaining it to them.
Bad happens.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, David. How did you get started in your training career and your fighting career? How did you get started?
It's funny because I actually made a comment to Kelly about this on his Facebook page. He has the word bullying with the line through it.
Yeah.
I went through a lot of severe bullying when I was a kid.
I don't see that. You look like Goldberg.
Yeah, well, it took a lot of work and a lot of dedication to get to that point. But I really did. I went through some horrible stuff, physical abuse at home from my mom. It was pretty terrible. And I just got to a point in my life where I was like, my take shit tank is full.
Yeah.
I'm tired of people hurting me. I'm tired of people embarrassing me and things of that nature. And started lifting weights and got into boxing, and that pretty much changed my life around, physically. It's, there's some stuff that happened that, I still struggle with to this day because it happened for such a long time, but that's how I got into boxing. And then one day I walked into Marshall's gym and he was in the back doing pad work. I heard him holler for me, and I went back, and you could, as you're approaching the gym, you could hear the punches. They sounded different on the pads than most regular guys do.
Yeah.
It sounded like gunshots. Everything was like boom, boom, boom.